Hello everyone, we're back where we left. Our character is looking healthier, tankier, and stronger than ever.
You have my approval.
And I'm looking a bit healthier also in real life, thanks to Mr. Tiny and these 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it, thank you. Hey Tiny, say hi, hi YouTube. So we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue the playthrough. I thought to myself that since I assume a lot of new players are watching this, I would explain a bit what the different strategies when approaching Monolith are, because there's different routes that you can take, and there's also the good route, which is the one that I'm gonna do, and it's the one that I'm gonna teach you guys. So basically, when you are in the Monolith, these are all the islands. All of these islands are connected with each other. In the first island, you're gonna give an option to go to either the Stolen Lands or the Black Sun. And depending, they all have different monster level, they all have different rewards, they all have different archetypes, different bosses, etc. Normally, your goal when you're in Monolith, it's to get to Empowered. What does Empower mean? Empower means that all of these islands become level 100. So the monsters you're fighting are max level, and basically any item in the game can drop, etc. Right? I know the monsters are gonna get harder, and the loot is gonna get better, and blah blah blah. Right? Typical RPG stuff. In order to reach Empowered, you have to activate this device right here. How do you activate this device? You need to defeat the Spirits of Land, of Fire, the Last Ruin, and the Age of Winter, these 3. And then you can interact with this. So basically, what most veteran players do is they skip these bottom islands, and they just do this L-shape kind of like path, because they just want to rush Empowered as fast as possible. Another reason why people do it this way and not like this way or some other way is because these islands here, this one, and this one, give you combat blessings. Combat blessings will give you something that is actually usable in combat, like resistances, damage, crit multi, health regeneration, chance to poison, minion damage, anything you like. There's a crit avoidance, right? It's a big one. And these ones, they give you magic find blessings. So, they will give you a better chance at finding 200 weapons, better chance at finding rings, better chance at finding uniques, etc. And obviously, when you're leveling, you don't really care too much about the items you're finding, because you most likely just want to level up enough so you can get the higher level bases at level 70, 80, right? So people just do this later. Like these are more like min-maxing, kind of like monoliths. We're still gonna do them, just so you guys get to see the bosses and the mechanics. But the route I'm gonna follow is the Black Sun, into the Ending of the Storm, into the Reign of Dragons, into these 3, and then we will do everything in Empowered, basically. And yeah, let's start. Fall of the Outcast, level 58 area. Really simple. We're given 2 options at the beginning. We can either go for Armor Shred, or we can go for increased health and damage. Right now, and then we will get more damage, increased movement and damage. All of this is pretty awful to me, but we want runes, right? We want runes of removal, we want glyphs, etc. So, affix shards, all of this is useful for me, so I'm gonna go this way. Like, to be honest, the modifiers at this level, they're not that important. So, I'm kind of just gonna go into a straight line. The further away you are from the center, from the nexus kind of thing, from the Monolith, the more stability you get. The more stability you get, the faster you're gonna spawn the boss and you're gonna be able to progress. So normally what people do in Monolith is they kind of like they choose a direction, they go in a straight line, and that way they can reach endgame as fast as possible. You can see the experience gain here. Again, you kill a small group of mobs and you get like crazy tons of experience. That's why in the last episode I mentioned that if you choose so, you could go here, get some levels, and then go back to do the boss if you're struggling, because as you can tell, this area is this is way easier to do than fighting Mejasa. Right? We're just kind of back to killing trash mobs. And there it is. You just do this a lot, right? Again, a lot of new players make the mistake, right? They go to the Monolith and they start doing all the things around it. We call this kind of players circle farmers because they farm in a circle. You don't want to farm in a circle, you want to farm in a straight line. I'm gonna explain this really quick so you guys can see it visually. But basically, you guys see if I do this, this node, it will give me 12 instability. You can see it here in the bottom, right? 12 instability. But if I do this one, it's gonna be 14, right? And if I did this one, it's gonna be 16. And the more stability, you know, you see I need 250 stability in total to spawn the boss. So obviously the farther away I get, the easier it's gonna be to spawn the boss. If I just keep doing this 12, 12, 12, 10, it's gonna take longer, right? So you kind of wanna go through the fastest path. And also, while you're leveling, I highly recommend targeting this, which give you tons of experience. So my pathing right now is probably gonna be like, I'm gonna do this, gonna do that, right? Because I don't wanna take this increased damage. The speed, I don't really care too much. And then I'm gonna go into the experience, most likely. So let's keep going. Someone in the chat, is a Dark Book in the chat, is asking what are good mods to avoid when starting mono. I would say the good mods to start in mono are the ones that change the behavior of mobs. For example, things like frenzy, things like deadly, etc. Because, you know, those are gonna make boss fights really hard, right? If you take, if you make a boss rampant, or you give a boss frenzy, you're gonna give them a lot of cast speed, and that's gonna affect the speed at which they do their animations and their attacks in the end game. And obviously that's really fucking bad for you, right? Because an ability that normally would take like 2 seconds to channel, now it's being channeled in 1 second. So the fights get really way harder for no reason. They're still pretty easy, but I would highly advise you to avoid frenzy, enrage, rampant, any of those you wanna ignore. Other things that are annoying, you know, if you're doing crit chance, crit avoidance, you know, dodge chance, anything that makes the mobs tankier. High health enemies take less damage, things like that. Things that add way too much damage for no reason, right? If you don't have crit avoidance, don't give the enemies crit until you get the crit avoidance, which is gonna be your first goal, etc, etc, right? Kind of common sense stuff. Movement speed can be a bit scary too. I give the movement speed, but it's just for one timeline, so... But if you start stacking movement speed with frenzy and some of the stuff that I just mentioned, it can get really scary. And again, as you can see, we're just cruising through this. Or you can see I've done 2 echoes and I'm almost 1 level up. Well, we leveled already, but overall 1 level. Sabi, thanks for the follow also, I appreciate it. Again, you get the guaranteed rewards here in the egg. If you want to get this, it means that you can't die. The guaranteed rewards are basically these things here. This is tons of experience, this would be access, right, etc. This would be an arena key to do arena, right? If you die, you're playing softcore and you die, you're gonna lose your chance at getting those. And this is just a random loot that you get from killing monsters in the Monolith. The more monsters you kill, the more loot it's gonna be in this chest. This chest is always guaranteed. That's why right now, in what experienced players do, is they basically just rush through the Monolith, and what they want to do is they farm X, because the X are guaranteed rewards, no matter how long it took you to do. So it seems like we can go this way still. Increase damage, whatever. High health, increase damage. It's a lot of damage. Again, right now the enemies are not doing any damage to me, so I think we can get away with it. We got an arena echo. These echoes are basically like a mini version of the arena, which is the competitive game mode of this game. And you basically are in like a coliseum kind of area, and you get enemies that keep spawning on you non-stop. The difference between regular arena and Monolith arena, obviously a regular arena goes forever and you're just there till you die or you quit. In this arena you just have a set amount of waves that you can see. But you can see if you don't kill enemies in this arena, which I'm not gonna do just so you guys can see, the enemies keep coming. You see, I'm not killing enemies and they just keep coming. So it's kind of like deep. Like if your build doesn't have DPS, you are in the danger to get overrun. Again, I'm just gonna. The waves will just keep coming. If you kill them, they come faster, right? But again. Be careful, because you can get overrun easily if your character doesn't have the DPS. In the regular arena this doesn't happen whatsoever. Like you can leave one mob alive and you can be strategic about your spawns, etc. This is more like a frenzied short version of the game mode where it's just like non-stop action, where the regular arena is more like tactical and more planned, I would say. There's different maps. Every map has its own strategies and placements. For this particular map, which is Rustlands, you have 4 spawn points, 2 on the sides, 2 on the top. I like being here because I have a good control over the area, and if there's something scary, you can leap over here and the melee mobs can follow you. You can do the same here, etc. Every map has its own strategies, and you will learn this over time with experience, pretty much. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, enough talking. Now we gotta rush. Again, at this point, my character is pretty set up. The one thing that I wanna do is we're level 55. I'm pretty sure it's level 60. I get my next upgrade of weapon, which if I'm not mistaken is... I have no idea what it's called, the level 60 weapon. Is it sorcery? I think I have one before sorcery though. Let's see. 200 staff. Mirage. So at level 62 we get Mirage. So basically that's the upgrade we're looking for. Getting Mirage at level 62, which is kind of gonna be similar to what we did when we got Woodland. So again, we're gonna keep with this weapon. We're gonna chill, right? And unique, that's 500 gold for us. We're gonna go that way. Again, we're farming as much stability as we can. And for the most part, right now in this timeline you get elemental enemies, which were covered. You get necrotic enemies and physical enemies. You might want to drop a bit of poison resistance and get more necrotic resistance, which I might do. Really quick. But yeah. The only boss that is scary that does necrotic damage is the final boss, so it's not like a rush. And to be honest, that boss is so easy, like you don't really even need the necrotic res. Physical res is always recommended though. And poison res is not as scary anymore, because you basically need poison res for chapter 9, but after that it's kind of like becomes irrelevant again. Unless you're doing arena or like high corruption or whatever. Alright, let's go. Get my damage reduction. Careful with this guy. If you've seen me do the campaign on last episode, you will be familiar with this fight, right? You get in the campaign the two Wengaris. You gotta be careful with that. What happened there? I stunned the guy mid-air, right before he jumped, If you stun him mid-air, he immediately lands and it hits you. So be really careful, because you can actually die. It's really troll. But I have died to that before. Look at this bad boy. Oy oy oy. And the health on this is really nice. But this necrotic res is literally what we wanted. We lose a bit of HP, but I get all my necro res. Again, it's like a no-brainer right now. I can craft some vitality on it later. We lost a bit of HP, but who cares? It's fine. Taking less damage is better than having more HP. And again, it's not like we're taking a lot of damage. Right now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for things that I know I'm gonna need in the future, right? Like spell damage, cold damage, maybe resistances, increased HP, things like that. At this point, if you really want, you can consider starting working on your loot filter if you want. One thing that I would recommend you is that don't make hide rules if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. If you're new to the game, don't hide anything, because there might be things that you're hiding that you don't know are good. What I would do is try to make rules that highlight the things you think are good. So let's just say you're playing a paladin, right? And you think you're doing lightning damage. And you say, oh, I think lightning damage is amazing. Well, just make a rule, right? Go for lightning damage, right? Like damage type, lightning damage, right? And just like highlight it with a cool color or something, you know? Like highlight it with yellow, because lightning is yellow, like Pikachu, right? And emphasize it, and boom, when you see lightning damage, it's gonna be shiny, right? But don't hide things, like you still want to see stuff that you're not familiar with, right? And again, if something had lightning damage, it would have like a thing, right? In my opinion, all you want to do is show stuff that you know it's gonna be valuable. In my case, increase health. I would always recommend on every loot filter, increase health, hybrid health. Have a rule for it, okay? Have a rule for it. The color, I use pink because I think pink is cool, and I emphasize it. And everything that has increased health, I'm gonna show, right? This would be like a good start. Again, things for your build, right? You're doing cold damage at the moment, spell damage. You know, you can do that. You can do you can have like a damage, like a damage filter with red, right? And you can add affixes, and you can go for cold damage, spell damage, right? All of the things that help your build. Spell damage, crit multi, right? And you add the rule, right? You can be more specific if you prefer. Darwook is saying in the chat, hide not your class required items. No, you don't want to do that. The reason you don't want to do that is, what if you drop a rogue chest piece, right? That has tier 5 increased health. Just tier 5 increased health, right? Well, you wouldn't see it, right? Because you're hiding your class. You're not class, so you gotta be careful with that. Just because it's not an item you can equip, it doesn't mean it's not an item you can't harvest, right? You can't like shatter. So like hiding, especially if you're playing SSF, where you don't have things available. Like I never do those hiding things, and you never know. You might want to migrate the character into softcore, and maybe you find the perfect rogue weapon, right? And you're playing Sorkan, because you hide it, you never got to see it. I would never hide things from other classes, because you never know, right? So yeah. And you know, obviously, depending on at what stage you are in the game, if you are in a stage like me, where you have literally everything you need, and you have all the items and all the uniques and all the like, right? You can get really, like, basically my loot filter only shows exalted items, which are the purples, because that's legit the only thing that can upgrade me. Right, so right now I know that Brass Aegis either has spell damage, cold damage, or which is what I want. Fist Rest, perfect. And yeah, that's good to go. Arcanis Robes, We highlight in pink, increase health. We want to have increase health, because increase health is really good for endgame, and you want to increase health pretty much on every build. So loot filter doing work there, right? You might have skipped that if you didn't have a loot filter, just because when you get to monoliths, you know, the loot starts getting a bit more, how to say it, a bit more prominent, right? There's more loot everyone. Again, critical multiplier, might as well grab it. You don't really care, right? And again, what I do with my loot, I just make a shit ton of this and I just drop fucking everything. Like this. Because they made search how do you say it? Search functions now, right? This is really nice. I'm gonna keep the stuff that I'm gonna put it on a different tab. So this is just trash, you know, to craft and shit. Like, and again, once I need a specific thing, right? Let's just say I need health, right? I would just type health, do this, and then everything that has health is gonna get shown to me, right? And then I have another tab where I have the actual stuff that I wanna kind of like have controlled, right? Where I have my void ring that I'm gonna use later. Again, there's no void enemies here. This ring is also pretty nice. I'm probably gonna use this too. Fizz res, poison res, physical res, health. Again, I don't need this fizz res at the moment, but I might need it later, so we keep it at hand. It's called damage we might use. And again, this is just crafting shit, right? This uniques, we're gonna sell, we're never gonna use it, and it's 500G. So we sell it, and remember to buy shatterings. So we check the vendor in case you have increased health, or I check the chest pieces because they get increased health, and I'm really looking for a specific affix that I'm gonna include on my loot filter on a rule called GG. Okay, I'm gonna call it GG. Oops. My game is broken. Okay, emphasize, add condition, affix, and I'm gonna go for the lovely Flame Ward Idol. Flame Ward charge, super OP for Mage, especially on hardcore, basically mandatory. And you want this, right? And you also probably want on this also, you probably want, if you're playing Glacier, right? Level of Glacier. And maybe like level of Static Orb. Like, and just so you make sure you don't miss them. And you're good to go. I wouldn't go further than this if you're a new player. Hey, what's up, random? Thank you, Tiny, for the gifta. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Blue Sword Club. I guess hybrid health, really nice. We don't miss it, right? Movement speed is also another one that I would highly 100% like add, just because movement speed is really important. Right, you wanna grab movement speed. This rest we might need. Full damage. It's fine, we have enough, I think. Let's go kill the objective. Careful with the desecrated fletches or whatever they're called, these guys. This guy. I keep stunning the dragon, so he resets his animation. Young, angry, and degenerate lizard is better than the old, chill, helpful lizard, in my opinion. Don't worry, that one comes back from time to time. Trust me. I get in trouble all the time. Okay, look at that. Rewards. Okay. Exalted's voice. Let's go. Exalted reward ahead of us. Actually, I'm gonna start building this for damage. Because that's the build that I actually wanted to try. I didn't want to play Glacier. Well, maybe not actually, right? Because Vision said that maybe all the skills are open next weekend. Fuck, I don't know what to do now. Let's increase health. Because I know it's a chess piece and I know chess piece can only have increased health, right? And again, this is a sentinel item that came with tier 3 increased health, which is basically the best item I found so far for increased health, right? That's why I don't hide like other classes. I love customizing the look and the fact everyone is already in the farming is a pleasure. Yeah, farming is good, fine in this game. And I like that some items you still don't know, even if you see them on the floor, you still get the wow factor when you hover over them, right? Like you see a purple and you go like, oh my god, it's a purple. And when you hover over it, you still get the wow factor. Same for a unique, right? You see like a unique amulet on the floor. It's like, okay, what is it gonna be? And then when you see it's Orient or whatever, like, oh shit, right? It's nice. Also, Arcanine mobs are really unbalanced for Arena. I mean, Arcanine mobs are really obviously overtuned. But I think people are also really bad against them, right? I think they're really overtuned, but people haven't taken the time to learn them also. Like, I can tell you for sure they are overtuned as fucked. But I mean, if you learn them, you just need to treat them like they're basically one-shot mechanics, right? So you need to treat them like they're actually dangerous. And you need to always be ready for them, right? The problem with the new mobs is you don't expect to get one-shot and then they one-shot you. But if you actually think about it, right? People are dying to new mobs at wave 200. Dude, at wave 400 any mob one-shots you. Any mob, right? So if you're confident playing at that kind of level, you can get to that level. If you're playing perfect, it doesn't matter the new mobs, right? Some of the new mobs, the mechanics are just harder. But again, like when I started playing this patch, and I'm talking from personal experience, right? Talking about Arena. When I started playing this patch, I could barely get to 300 waves. Like I could barely get to 300 waves. You know, because I didn't change my build, I didn't put time into adapting into the patch. I didn't have cleanse on my belt for the dot enemies. I didn't put time to learn the mobs. And I'm basically pushing 400 on literally every character I tried, right? Or super close to it. So yes, the new mobs are OP, but I mean, everything is OP if you don't play correctly against it, right? Like I see a lot of people dying to new mobs, and sure, the new mob is OP, but they also did everything wrong, right? On the playback. I think it's the problem with the new mobs is more the fact that they're like out of tune with the rest, more than that they are OP. Like when other mobs are not a threat, the new ones are. I think it's fine for them being a threat. It's just weird that they are when nothing else is. It feels unfair, right? When in reality, you're just playing like shit. I don't know, there's so many things that Again, I'm talking from personal experience, that I thought, oh, this is like impossible, what am I gonna do? And then, you know, with a bit of adaptation, sure they are OP, right? Sure they are OP, but there's always, you can always do a bit more as a player. Now, I think the players are, like the devs are asking for a level of investment that most players are not gonna be doing, willing to make, or able to make. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They definitely need to balance it. So it feels like they belong in the same game at the same difficulty threshold. Okay, let's see what we got. Look at this! 100 spell damage, 50% mana regen with Void Pen. Oof. Minion health, perfect. Necrotic damage, perfect. But not much is useful, but we have it. We have it at least. Okay, so what do we have here? Chance to dodge, fuck that. Chance to dodge. See, this is the problem with Monolith, guys. The devs say that we have choices. But what the fuck is my choice now? Chance to dodge or chance to dodge? Oh, I tell you what your chance is, going back and take slow or slow. I guess they're dodging, guys. They need to put Paragon. Come on, guys. Paragon is such a bad idea by design. You're literally asking people to bot. Hey, you know what our game offers? Infinite power. You know what gives you the power? Time. You know who doesn't care about time? Bots. Yeah, that's really smart. What were they expecting? Like, people only bot if you give them a reason for, right? Like, for example, who bots in Path of Exile SSF Hardcore? No one, right? I mean, maybe there's some weird guy who does, but you know what I'm saying. There's not like an entire economy around it, because there's basically no economy and it's hardcore, so the bots die. So yeah. People only bot if there's reasons, so don't give the player reasons to bot and your game would be bot free. Or same, or at least not bot flooded. Again, like I mentioned, this is way easier. I think they definitely need to revisit. I understand the difficulty of this. I understand that the devs want the endgame to be like accessible to everyone, right? And even like, you know, like a 5-year-old can be able to join the game and have some fun. But I think it's a bit weird that somehow the Act 9 of the campaign is fucking harder than the endgame. I don't know. I think the campaign is the right difficulty. Like Act 9, I think is good difficulty. It's not too hard, it's not too easy. It's like good. It's like hard if you're a noob, easy if you're a pro, right? Like everything should be from like a tutorial perspective. But regular mono is so easy. That's a lot of the times, right? When I talk with people about builds and stuff, people say, "Oh, but my build is completely fine. I'm doing monoliths just fine." I mean, I don't even need to look at my screen to do monoliths, right? So using monolith as a kind of like a place to like see if your build is good or you're building good or not, it's not a really good idea. Just because the difficulty is so low that the bar is very low, right? Everything works in monolith, so it doesn't matter if you can't really tell if your build is good or bad just because everything works. And I think it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of people enjoy that about Last Epoch. A lot of people enjoy that. Wow, I love that in Last Epoch you can just, you know, play any build and everything works. And I think any build that makes sense should work, right? But you also need to have things that don't work in order to create the satisfaction of making something that works, right? I think. If everything works, nothing works, basically. That's just my opinion, though. Wasn't there some game that implemented botting? I mean, maybe so. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if someone created like a groundbreaking experience. Runes, piles of gold, key. I don't really care about keys. We're not gonna be doing arena. No. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially in. And I think botting in certain places is super normal, right? It's not like condemned or whatever in some countries. I'm pretty sure that certain cultures don't really have that negative view on it. It's like they're like a service to the community and blah blah, right? You even see that in some modern games, right? Like you talk to a lot of PoE people, and they are gonna tell you that the bots are necessary for the game to exist or to function. Okay, and what about all the people that play SSF? Like, do they need bots too? Like, I mean, the bots are necessary for the game to run the way it's running, but that doesn't mean they're necessary overall, right? If you want to have a system where you can just buy anything you want at any moment, like a fucking auction house, sure, bots are probably necessary. But is that necessary for people to enjoy the game? I don't know. That's subjective, I guess. Right? Alright, let's keep going. Careful with the beetles and their projectiles. Yeah, exactly. Some cultures don't care about it. Again, we're still getting really good experience. That's why I'm not only just going to the end. Because we're actually getting really good experience. Again, we're 58, and we're looking for that level 62 that I mentioned, right? For the staff that I forgot the name of. Ooh, this one's pretty good actually. Good prefixes. Crit chance and spell crit. It's just tier 1s, but better than nothing. Okay, destruction. Not good enough. Again, our character right now, because we prepared our character for the Majasa fight, and Majasa is harder than this. We basically don't care too much about our guy is currently really well geared for this content, basically. We're gonna go for crit multi now. Those are good points. These are good points. Now that we're basically critting most of the time. Again, we're getting 13 stability now, so the next one should be. We should be able to go for the boss. The Remedy asks in the chat, anyone know if things like Omni's unique idols have a corruption level restriction before they can drop? Yes, they have, the Remedy. Omnis has a 200 corruption minimum. So you need to have at least 200. And the more you have, the more likely it is to drop. So if you have 300, it's gonna be easier to get than if you have 200. And when you kill your Orobi's Shade, the further away you are from the center of your monolith, so you know, if you're like really far away on your web, there's also gonna be a multiplicative there for the item find. So if you do an Orobi's skill that is really far away from the Nexus, it's gonna be higher chance that if you kill an Orobi's right next to the you know, the monolith like center, basically. I call it Nexus, I don't know why I call it Nexus. There's not that many items that are locked behind corruption. Some uniques are empowered mono only, so as long as you're unempowered, they can drop. And then there's a couple items that are locked behind specific corruption values. For example, you have Omnis is 200 corruption, and I think Omni, the Shade, has an other item that is locked behind 100 corruption, so it only drops in empowered. But I'm pretty sure it's the belt. I'm not 100% on that. I think it's the belt. The Orobis belt. The Shade of Orobis belt. I think it's the belt. Yes, thank you guys. See, I knew it. There it is. The belt. But Omnis is something that you can completely aim for. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets Omnis when we're done with our playthrough. When we're done with empowered and stuff. And not that I'm gonna use it with a Zork, but... Let's kill this guy, get behind it when he does the channeling thing. So wait for it to cast, get behind. And then they suicide. Spell damage, that's pretty high, tier 2. High for this level. I hope, by the way, what do you think about that, Remedy? Do you like that? That mechanic, the fact that certain items can only drop to certain corruptions? Because I think they should do that for way more things. I think that's one of the best things the game has. Because in this game we have nothing like item level, right? So I would say corruption is kind of like or equivalent, where certain items can only drop at certain area level or whatever. So I would love to see more of that, just to have some aspirational content, you know. Nothing that is like, oh, you need this to play the game or anything. Because Omnis, you don't need Omnis to play any build. You might want it, but you don't need it, right? I don't think it's cool if they lock like playstyles behind those aspirational items. But I love to have things that when you look at someone and they're having their item, like, you know that, hey, this guy's big dick, you know? I like that. Like, this guy has put time, at least. I think that's really important especially for an action RPG, right? Like, again, I will always say this, but I loved, like, you know, back in the day, you know, walking in Diablo 2, inspecting people, you know, seeing their fucking, you know, grand charms from Bale, or, you know, walking around and see someone with, like, Tyrell Smite on, you know, and you can just tell by the color of the armor or whatever. I think that just makes the game more special, you know. And this game is gonna have MTX, so I don't know how much it's gonna matter, but... Hopefully we have like titles, right? I think titles are really cool, like in things like WoW and MMOs. Like, you know, if you beat the game on hardcore, or if you reach 300 corruption on hardcore, you get like a title. And then when you join a game, everyone sees like the title next to your name, and, you know, like, oh my god, this guy did this? Holy shit, right? I think things like that are just like what motivate people to play, really, right? Because otherwise, why the fuck are you playing a single player game? Like, it's not a real competitive game, right? It's not like a PvP game or anything like that. So if you need to have that layer of feel that you're not wasting your life, right? At least I need it because I play a lot. So I need titles. So when someone tells me, what the fuck are you playing this game so much for? I say, hey, look at my titles. What do you mean? I'm Destroyer Lizard. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. Alaktar25, thank you very much for the prime, sir. I assume you also want titles. I assume you also want titles, huh? I love the fact that it took me about 30 hours to drop Wings of Argentus. Yeah, Wings can be a bitch. Well, there's items even more rare than that, the Remedy. For example, there's certain items also that you can't even target farm, and they're so rare. For example, there's an amulet called, which by the way is the amulet that would be best in slot for the build I'm playing. There's an amulet called Orion's Eye, and that item, I think the drop chance is 0.00005. So yeah, that item is rare. but I mean, I've dropped it like 4 times in 5,000 hours. So it can happen, you know, if you play enough. If you play enough, you will get it. So okay, we have 250 corruption stability now, not corruption, sorry, we have 0. So we can now go for the quest and do the bosses, okay? And that will allow us to progress to the next one. What's the percentage based on? Basically how it works exactly. I'm not like a super expert on this. You can ask Tank in Discord better. I'll give you like a brief explanation. But basically, when you items have first of all, items uniques have a rarity value. The rarity value goes from 0 to 97, I think is the maximum, right? 97. So basically, and then there's the base, right? So basically when you drop a base, let's just say you drop a ring, right? There's gonna be, you drop a silver ring, right? Silver ring. This silver ring has different unique options, right? It has a 97 option, I'm just talking out of my ass, by the way. A 97 option, a 0 option, and a 20 option, right? Basically what happens is like, when this item rolls, right? When this item rolls, it rolls once, right? And if it rolls this, right? Then it's a 97% chance to re-roll into one of these ones. It's something like that. And if you roll a 0% one, you automatically get it. So you don't have a chance at re-rolling this. That's kind of how it works. So the drop rate, it's basically based on this re-roll mechanic plus how hard it is to drop the base and the level requirement and so on. Because for example, item rarity in this game is a bit odd, right? Because for the most part, as far as I know, it's more like item quantity, right? It's more like item quantity. So 47 increased item rarity, for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, it's basically just 47% more items. So your items are not necessarily getting better, you're just getting more items, so there's more chances of one of them being better, right? Like, you're not winning the lottery directly, you're just buying more tickets, right? If that makes sense. I think the blessings though are a bit different, right? The blessings, I think, that have increased chance to drop unique items and stuff, those will affect those drop rates and stuff. But item rarity will not. If I'm not mistaken, again, if I fuck this up, I apologize, because they kind of like changed this from patch to patch and they've been playing around it and blah blah. So your best bet is to ask Adept to see the exact current system, and maybe he can give you a. You could just ask like, hey, what are my chances of dropping this item with this much item rarity and this blessing, and maybe he can give you like an exact example with the math behind it and stuff in the Discord. They're pretty cool with that stuff. They will spend the time and go over your case. So I just get more items that are getting through the filter? Yeah. So it's basically like item quantity, right? In PoE, it's basically item quantity of PoE, I think. What's up, Misha? Beautiful human. Damn, thank you. You're beautiful, Misha. Thank you. Of course, look at that mustache. Look at that, Misha. Your positive attitude, ended up in a gifted sub by Tiny. Thank you very much, Tiny man. I appreciate it. You've been very generous today. Thank you very much. Tiny completely kidnapping this episode for YouTube. Completely kidnapping it. By the way, this thing that I just did, if you don't have enough damage, this basically keeps spawning mobs and mobs and mobs, and if you don't have enough damage, this sucks. So keep that in mind. It might not be as easy the first time you fight this, if your build is not strong or so on. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, asking a dep would be the best thing to do. Okay, we go for the quest again. More quests. I mean, I could probably ask this myself, honestly, because they changed it. I know for a fact, it used to be only quantity. But I know that they've tried. I know they've messed with item generation in the items are definitely better now, but I don't know if it has anything to do with the rarity. I think they just like made item generation better by default. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a lot of patches, guys. And to be honest, for the most part, it doesn't fucking matter, because rarity is something that you get out of just doing the content. It's not something that you can really work towards. Like, you just get whatever you get. So I mean, I don't really care what it does, because I'm doing the same content regardless, right? So, but yeah. TLDR, some items are rare as fuck. Can you ask about Revenant's Void for you? What do you want to know about Revenant's Void? I know pretty much everything about that item, I think, because I asked for myself when it comes to drop rates. What do you want to know? Uh, 500 it caps. Last time I asked Tank, he told me 500. So more than 500 doesn't do anything, basically. Because it caps at 3% drop chance. You can get it past. Oh, look at that! +2 Glacier, Necrotic Res. Holy fuck, this is huge. Look at this! +2 to Glacier! Oh my god! How beautiful are you? I'm gonna go this way now. What does higher than 500 do? Nothing. It makes it harder. For no reward. That's what it does. That's exactly what it does. Nothing. So look, I can look it up for you if you want, since this episode is not too long. Where's Tank? My messages with Tank. Okay. So this is the info I have. This is just data mined, right? Oops. So Ravenous Void, minimum corruption 100, chance per corruption is 0.0025. And that's per single corruption, right? And it caps at 3%. And we know it caps at 3% because of this. So you make the math, you know. 0.0025 per corruption, maximum 3, and knowing the base drop chance, and that's it. Well, we just got a huge chess piece, by the way. Right, and this is the final boss, boys. Abomination, he's called. It's really easy. This boss actually this boss could actually kill you before. But this boss, when it got released, killed so many noobs that they complained so much that they nerfed it, and now it does no damage basically. You can just AFK, as you can tell. Like, you just don't give a shit. I mean, again, I get hit by a giant fire thing. Legit doesn't do damage. If you were here when this boss got released, you remember what I'm talking about. I have never seen more complaint in my life. Like, people said this boss was impossible. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did damage, right? If you get hit by the things, he did damage, but as he should. Like, if you get hit by this thing, when it comes back, this white thing, it one-shot you. If your item, if you were not like level 100 or whatever, right? If you were level 100, you could face tank him regardless. And then they nerfed him so much that it basically doesn't do anything now, you can see. And he has increased damage. Thanks for the loot filter tip. No worries. Again, with the loot filter, you know, the more, if you ever feel like, oh, I need something else for my build, right? Just add it to the loot filter, right? You can always keep adding stuff. Unfortunately for me, if I drop the item that I want, my glacier points are gonna go. Because this boss has a loot table, and what you want to drop is you want to drop the lovely chess piece called Woven Flesh. I would advise you, if it's your first character, kill this boss a couple times until you drop it. We didn't get it. We got a pretty good Ribbons of Blood, which is not a bad item whatsoever, because it makes that your minions can be crit. It gives crit avoidance to your minions, and it gives 9% increased HP, so it's actually a pretty fucking good item. But it's not the item we wanted. Hey. Nice. So this is normally what you would do. You go talk to this thing, and it tells you. You have to read the purple text. In last Epoch, you can skip all the text, just like in PoE, but the purple text you have to read. Okay, do you want to go to the level 66 timeline or the level 62? We want to go to the level 66, okay? And now we got our blessing. 5% increased experience is turbo good early on, because we want to farm fast. Grand idols, we don't really care what grand idols. We want adorned idols, but again, if we do lining, if we were doing, again, not a big deal. We're gonna go for experience. This experience has value basically until you're level 100, right? So I always go for experience early on, or gold. If you get the gold, Gold, experience, those are really good. Glyphs are pretty good, right? Glyphs will give you like, no, these glyphs, runes of removal, things like that. You can get that too. And now you can see, because we have defeated this boss, we could keep going, right? We could keep going. We lose our stability and we can keep going. And you know, we could fill this boss pretty fast. Just because, you know, we're still making like 30 something, like 36 stability per point, instead of making the 10 stability that we were making when we started, right? You could look at the big difference. So again, we could probably kill this like a couple times and still like and try to get the chest piece, because it's hardcore and we don't want to get crit. But I'm an idiot, so we're not gonna do it. Again, because we defeated the boss and we choose the level 66, we open the Black Sun. If you chose the other one, the level 62, you would have gotten into the Stolen Lands. Again, we're gonna have to come back here and defeat this in order to open this path and do this. But we can do it later. We can do it when we do the empowered version. You know, we can just choose the other version and then go straight. We'll have these ones already empowered, so you can just do them. You can do them straight in empowered, which is kind of like what we all do. Again, I would highly recommend farming the chest. It's probably gonna take you a couple kills, maximum like 3, 4, 5 maybe. So yeah. And oh, here we are, guys. On the next episode, we will conquer the Black Sun. And most likely, since I'm not running any Void, we're gonna have to do some shifting on gear. So I'll see you guys there, I guess. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.